Trust me, Iger? Yeah, I do. You've earned that much. Tell me what happened to your team. That again, why do you even care? So it's pretty clear you've had your way, you'd still be with them, and a good leader places a priority on knowing his team. Does a bad leader ask you a question, I'd like you to answer it? She slowly nods. Alright then, I'll tell you. I suppose that you deserve to know. What happened to us was Hoffman, he was a rookie, kid of some big money corporate exec. He looked good on paper, he'd made it through KSK training, so he's technically qualified to join the team, but he was way too green to fit in with ours. Still, he wanted to be a hero, and his family had enough clout to get him an assignment, any assignment of his choosing. I don't know how many strings Hoffman's daddy had to pull to get him assigned to our team, but he pulled them. Hoffman became our 9th squad member despite Metingzar's objections. Anyway, flash forward a few weeks, we were closing in on one of the Russian mob major's trafficking operations. They've been using a series of warehouses 50 miles from the border as a staging area for their convoys. Women and girls from Eastern Europe were being housed there. When the convoys came, they crammed them into cargo containers and hauled them across the border into Germany. Go to any brothel along the border, and you've had a look around, chances are you'll find at least a few girls who spent some time in those warehouses. Slovakians, Hungarians, Poles, you name it, the mob has been smuggling them over for a decade. But we were in a position to derail their operation, and we weren't going to let the new addition slow us down. We hit them by surprise, we hit them hard, and then we hit them hard. Fisher and Braun managed to take down the Banshee that they had patrolling the site. Wolf had reconnaissance drones overhead providing battle tech feeds to the rest of us, and we picked off the gunmen one by one. They had numbers on us, but they didn't know where to hit us. We had eyes in the sky, and we had cover and concealment. Every time we thought they had a fix on us, we shifted positions and hit them again. They might as well have been fighting ghosts. Then Hoffman broke cover and gave away our position, and after that all hell broke loose. Wolf went down first. The sound of it will haunt me for the rest of my days. An explosion, a choked scream, and then a long drawn out gurgling sound. When he died, his drones went down with him, and there were too many hostiles to track without them. I'll spare you the gory details, Richard. Suffice it to say that my team was wiped out. Iger's face clouds again. You can see tears beginning to well in her eyes. I watched Metazaga die. With visible effort, she clamps down on her emotions and calms herself. When she speaks again, her voice is flat. I took 3 rounds myself. Had to drag myself back across the Order Knees line into Germany. I almost died. So that's the story of my KSK career. Died with the rest of my team. Our mission was illegal after all, off the books. There was no going back for me, so I wound up here. See the look in your eye, her tone's impassive. Did that tell you everything you wanted to know about Did that tell you everything you wanted to know, fearless leader? Are you satisfied now? Yes, thank you, Iger. So tell me, what's your takeaway from my tale of woe? Figure you've got to have one. When Monica died, you blamed me because I was new to the team, but I'm not Hoffman, Iger. You hung up on the past, Iger. If you want to survive in the shadows, you need to get over it. Doesn't matter what I think, what you think, and how you act on it is what is important. She pauses, and normally I'd call that a cop-out answer, but I guess there's some truth to it. In any case, you don't need to worry about me, fearless leader. My baggage isn't going to hurt my job performance or anything. You might be thinking that I judged you too harshly in the beginning because of Hoffman. You're right on that count, I probably did. But everything else that I said after Monica died was justified, whether you want to believe it or not. Giving you command of this team was a hasty decision made for the wrong reasons. I stand by that assessment. But between then and now, I've been watching you like a hawk, and you've grown. You were the right choice to lead before. I still believe that. You weren't the right choice to lead before, but I still believe that. But you are now. Thanks, Iger. Good talk. Until next time. Richard, a pleasure as always. Need anything from me? How you doing, Glory? Golden as always. No problems here. If I didn't know better, I'd think you were warming up to me. She studies your face for a moment before. I suppose that you might say that. I don't talk to many people, Richard. It just doesn't seem to be worth the effort. I don't really feel much anymore. Not since she sees the chrome on her forearms and hands made of something steel. If that's true, why are you still talking to me? I suppose because you've shown an interest and because you haven't let me push you away. She locks eyes with you, expressions back. I don't want to mislead you, Richard. I still don't feel anything, not warmth or friendship or even trust. But I can appreciate the effort you're making. It's something new, and it's worthy of exploring. Are you ready to tell me about the chrome you're sporting? I'm getting there, Richard, but you'll have to give me some time. The answers will come when they do. You said things went bad when you turned 14. I'd like to continue talking about that. No, I'd rather not. Why not? Because I don't see a reason to. These memories are unpleasant. By dragging them up, it doesn't serve any real purpose. Last time we talked, it had an impact on you. That's the reason enough to continue. She pauses for a moment, considers your words, troubles. I suppose that's true. Feeling discomfort is better than feeling nothing at all. Alright, here's the deal, Rich. I'm going to talk. You listen. When I'm done, I'm done. No complaints and no arguments. And we'll see what happens. Deal? Deal. Right. 1,000-meter stare creeps back into Glory's eyes. A moment later, she's locked away in her own head again, reliving memories that she'd long since filed away. So a few days after my 14th birthday, I began to express magically. Judging from what I saw in your aura, your awakening must have been an incredible thing. It was actually fairly standard. The real power didn't come until later, but we'll get to that. There is another long pause and Glory becomes more animated. Anyway, I turned 14, I awakened. I don't even remember how my parents found out about it anymore. I think that my dad caught me playing with a tiny cat spirit that I coaxed out of a pile of garbage, something like that. With everything that happened afterwards, those days are kind of a blur. What I do remember is my father's response to the revelation that his little girl was a witch, a hexie. He beat the living shit out of me with his fists, and then his belt, and then a claw hammer that he grabbed out of his toolbox. All the while my mother was screaming and flailing at him. She took a couple of licks with a hammer too. It's a miracle that you survived. I'm just lucky, I guess. So finally, after that, what felt like an hour, Dad stopped turning me up with the hammer. I had broken ribs, busted arm, I couldn't see out of my left eye, and my entire right side was covered with one giant bruise. I was bleeding all over the place, making a real mess of carpet. The old bastard spat on me, his bleeding, crying daughter, he spat on me. He told me that I was a des truffle vieux, the devil's whore, and he kicked me out of the house. As I was crawling away, my father told me that if he or any of his Kuritsa's brothers ever saw me again, they'd treat me as Berlin chapter treats the enemies of God. If you're familiar with how the Kreitz writers, don't know what that is, can't say it, here in Berlin deal with heretics, it's decisively less pretty than what my dad and his buddies did to their victims. I got the hint, and the next morning I hitched a ride out of Stuttgart. You're a human girl, presumably with an ID. Why didn't you go to a hospital? Gutsy move, you're a smart kid. Oh, I did, but not in Stuttgart. If I went to a local hospital with the kind of injuries that Dad gave me, there'd be questions, and I couldn't afford to stay in town any longer than I had to. Even if my own dad wound up getting arrested for beating me, the rest of his local would have found me, and I would have wound up skinned alive and thrown into the nectar. I wound up in Trubinga. I figured it would be a safe enough place to find medical attention and maybe call home. It's not far from Stuttgart, but it is huge. It has a huge student community that I figured I could blend into, and the university there has a decent magical department. My ride dropped me off at the university hospital and they patched me up pretty good. had some questions for me about how I got so beaten up, but I lied to them and told them I'd been mugged, which played nicely into my complete lack of cash and credits and identification. Glory paused for a moment and looks down at the floor, then fixes her eyes on you. She's visibly tense. We're going fast forward through the next few years. I was a kid on the streets. I got by as best I could, doing whatever I had to do. The rest we can leave up to your imagination, good? Of course, I need to hear what you're comfortable with talking about, nothing more. Good. Glory's clenched jaw relaxes somewhat, and the tension drains out of her shoulders. Thanks. So anyway, I lived on the streets for a few years. Got used to being hungry all of the time, got used to getting rained on. Got by. I was painfully aware they had magical talents, but without any kind of training or guidance, I didn't really know how to use or develop them. Truth be told, they scared me, so I more or less ignored them. So it's just sort of went like that. So it just sort of went like that. So a few days after my 17th birthday, then I met Marta, and everything changed. Marta was a sweet girl. At first, I took her for a street kid like me. Her clothes were a little ratty, and she seemed comfortable being near me. But she also looked well-fed and happy, and those two things that I hadn't been in years. We started hanging out, and before I knew it, that was happening. I was in love. There was a genuine attraction between Marta and me, I think. But I also think that a lot of my affection from her came from the fact that she was the first person in years to give a damn about me. She cared, and I loved her for that. Glory pauses. She looks flustered, her composure cracked. Keep going. She stares at you for a beat, then nods. A few ragged breaths later, she continues. Marta told me about a place where she'd been hanging out. She invited me to join her there. It was called Stella, the fireplace. And it was sort of a communion for dispossessed youth. It turns out that a lot of street kids I'd known over the years had moved there. The way they disappeared, I assumed that they'd been kidnapped or killed or had gone back to their parents, but there they were. I remember being kind of angry about it, like, how did everyone get the memo about it but me? Marta calmed me down. She was good at helping me work through my feelings, and I wound up following her to Stella. To a street kid, it was basically paradise. The owner, a guy named Harrow, had set up this little farm just outside Tübingen in the Schossben forest. Schossben is officially a nature park, but not many people go there nowadays. Too much fear of paranormal animals, I guess. Anyway, part or not, it was plenty big enough for us to hide in. It was also safe and pretty, and the farm was well stocked with food. Most importantly, Stella gave us a sense of community and stability that we never had on the street, and we loved Harrow for that. He became like a surrogate father to us. Glory paused again, and you recognised the distinctive flush in her cheeks. She seemed to have come out of her reverie once again, or something. Don't think that's right, but that's enough for now. I need to process all of this, and I don't want to continue forward until I've had a chance to do that. I know this all happened years ago, but I guess it's still pretty raw to me, so I'm gonna ask you to give me some space for a while. She turns away, and the frost prints creep back into her voice. We can pick this up later. Okay. So Amstel's got something for me. Richard, Firmilla should be on our way, but before you go to the meeting site, I have news. Upon seeing the expression on your face, Amstel's voice becomes grave. I can't wait. Tell me what has happened. I had some trouble on the U-Bahn. Someone set up an ambush. Amstel pauses, then gives a curt nod. Truth be told, I'm expecting that for something like that to happen. Oh, pardon me. I'm just glad that you made it out alive. Hand over the encrypted PDA. One of the attackers dropped this. Yes, so I should give this. I should be able to extract some information from this. Give me a moment. Plugs DD into his computer. A few moments later, he lets out a grunt of dismay. Well, Richard, I was able to recover a file, but unfortunately, that's all that I'll ever be able to pull off this thing. All that anyone will, truth be told. I must have been running some sort of counter-intrusion software. The instant that I gained access, it bricked itself. Amstel disconnects the useless PDA and drops it to the ground. It clatters to rest on the metal floor. What did you manage to pull off it? A COM file. The audio is all here, but it looks like we've only got video from one side of the conversation. Let's see what we have. He opens the file and a nightmarish face appears on the screen. Bachmila. The voice speaks out from Amstel speakers filling the room. Aldrin here, what's your status? That's smidge garbled, but his voice sounds young and eager. Target acquired, sir. You were right. We've spotted him on the U-Bahn, just like you said, probably on his way to a job. As per instructions. I'm going to take him out on the way back. He'll be more vulnerable that way. Hopefully injured and low on ammo too, but only time will tell. Good man, proceed as instructed. Will do. Cosman is rigging up an ambush spot now. We'll try to make it quick. York with a nightmare face nods. Send me a comm when the job is done. Aldrin out. Image on the computer screen dies. Amstel turns to face you. All our scarred friends makes an appearance. Richard, I suspect the Green Winter's predictions are coming true. I believe the Fushwind is behind this. Under Amstel's patient exterior, you can feel the worry that's eating at him. Be on your guard, you and the rest of your team. You've made it through this attack relatively unscathed. But next time, you might not be so lucky. At least we have a face to put to a name. A name to put to a face. That's not all we have. As I was saying, when you first walked in, I've been productive as well. I was able to uncover some new evidence in your absence. And coincidentally enough, that evidence pertains to our scarred friend. You might recall that I said I'd dig into Aldrin's skin grafts. Well, I did, and that search has finally borne fruit. One of my contacts outside of Berlin handles paperwork for private hospitals all across Germany. It's a dull and boring job. It does have its perks. As it turns out, our scarred friend's skin grafts were performed at a legitimate hospital after all. So some good news. What do they say? Well, it's rather light. Well, they're rather light on identifying information. Our friend's name is listed as Max Mustermann, the equivalent of John Doe, but they do cover his injuries in great detail. Aldrin's injuries were extensive. He had 2 broken ribs, a shattered pelvis, and he had sustained third-degree burns over 60% of his body. Most damning of all, he'd suffered from acute radiation poisoning. His body absorbed over 5,000 millisieverts of ionizing radiation, a lethal dose without treatment. The information dries up at this point. We know that he was treated and discharged, but what happened afterwards remains a mystery. He pauses for a moment, studying your reaction. Your thoughts, hold nothing back. I'd like to hear everything that comes to mind. Well, those burns sound like Dragonfire, but if Firewing burned Aldrin, why would he be working for her now? Aldrin might have spent time in the sock. The radiation poisoning didn't happen on its own. Agreed, 5,000 millisieverts is a lot of exposure. Short of basking in the glow of an unshielded reactor, I don't know how he would have absorbed so much ionizing radiation without spending time in the sock. Alright, so Aldrin's heavily irradiated, most likely from time spent in the sock. What else does it tell us? The burn sounds like Dragonfire, but if Firewing burned Aldrin, why would he be working with her? I don't think that Aldrin is working with the Firewing. I believe he is serving her. And Green Winter's second DVD mentions that there was a cult within the sock that was worshipping the Firewing. Disciples of the Cleaning Fire. I believe Aldrin belongs to that cult. What difference would that make? In my experience, a zealot is unlikely to shed allegiances to his goddess, even if that loyalty comes at a great personal cost. So it is possible Aldrin is a dragon cultist. This seems to fit with much of the other information we've uncovered. Did any other red flags jump out at you? The hospital couldn't ID Aldrin. Either someone covered his tracks for him or he's living completely off the grid. Indeed, if Aldrin were a denizen of the sock, a glowpunk, his lack of identifying information would make sense. Amstel adjusts his glasses. It's a working theory at any rate. So to sum up, Aldrin has probably spent time in the sock. It's possible that he's even lived there as a member of Fudge Swing's dragon cult, and he is after you. Amstel pauses for a moment before continuing. In my mind, all of this reinforces one fact. We need to find Von Claire, and we need to do it fast. Agreed. Good. And that's all the more reason to gather Alice's fee as quickly as possible. There's a buzzing sound from Paul's wrist. He lifts his hand to look at his PDA, and luck would have it from Muller has arrived. Best of luck with the meeting, Richard. Remember, this isn't urgent. We need that money. I'm on it. So let's go and have a word with her and see what her job is entailing. And then we'll do the raid on the pharmaceutical labs. I think we're meeting up here. Yes, we are. Set against the frozen cobblestones of the empty park, Frau Muller looks entirely out of place. She suppresses a shiver and hugs herself for warmth. She appears, as Amstel describes, an impressive-looking woman of Aslantian descent with coffee-coloured skin and dark wavy hair. Everything about her screams corporate executive, from her expensive-looking suit to her tastefully understated makeup. She's obviously nervous, but she's hiding it well. She locks eyes with you and hesitates only slightly before speaking. Richard, I presume Herr Amstel told me that I could meet you here. He wasn't lying. He said that you had a job for me. She holds a silence for a moment and then nods. Yes, I do. In truth, I'm desperately in need of your help. Tell me what you need. She offers you a small smile. I assume the name, obviously. But I've been told that this is how you people do business. She straightens. Well, there's no seat, but yeah, we'll cut that out. She straightens herself and tries on a smile. It hangs there for a second, then fades away. She sighs. From my accent, you have no doubtly inferred that I am Aslantian. Further, you may have guessed who I work for. As Technology, I presume. She nods. I've been with the company for over a decade. In that time, I've worked on all manner of projects, from the innocuous and to the obscene. My hands have touched it all. Never once did I question the wisdom of our research. Never once did I consider blowing the whistle on my employer. I kept my nose down, worked hard, and excelled at the tasks set before me. They must love you there. Go on, please. Last month I was transferred here from my home in Technochilitan. They told me that an employee of my caliber was needed in Berlin, and that I would be working on a project with wide-reaching applications. The only other details that I was given was the name of the project and its bloodline. That doesn't sound good. She looks you in the eye, and for the first time you can see the cracks in her composure. She's doing a good job of hiding it, but deep down this woman is terrified. I've seen many terrible things in my life in Technochilitan. Blood magic is commonplace. Take a moment to imagine what that means. In the underground markets, people are bought and sold as cattle. Street children rounded up and bled like lambs. I've witnessed all of these things by the age of 12. She takes a deep breath and then lets it out slowly. Seeing such things, it changes you, makes you numb, but what I found when I arrived here was worse. The project horrifies me, and it must be stopped. Tell me everything you know about Bloodline. She shakes her head. The less you know, the better for both of us. You just have to trust me on that. You need only know that it is evil, and it is not worth, and that is not a word that I use lightly. You have to understand, I cannot accept a job without knowing the details. Evil is a childish term for our mother. There's no such thing as good and evil, black and white. The sooner you learn that, the better. If you won't tell me about Bloodline, if you won't tell me what this Bloodline is and how do you expect me to stop it? Simple. She leans in and looks you in the eye. I want you to bring down the building. computers, the research data, the mages and the scientists that are working to bring about this abomination. I want them all buried, burned to ash and buried in rubble. No compromises, no exceptions. Her tone softens. I'm sure that you have unanswered questions, and I'm not in the habit of dealing with Shadowrunners. In truth, I've spent the majority of my career living in fear of you people, but I do know that you are the only ones who can get this done. So tell me, Richard, is there anything more you need to hear from me, or are you ready to make a decision? Why couldn't you tell Paul this? I met you in person, took a look into your eyes, and I see the man behind the name. Now that I've done this, I'm sure you're the one I need. Naturally, I'll send any further information on to the job to Her Amstel, provided, of course, you accept. What about innocent people in the building? None of us are innocent. But if you need to save your conscience, rest assured that the areas you approach, the only personnel authorised to be on the site will be security and senior members of the research team. I assume neither are innocent in this matter. If Bloodline Project reaches completion, nobody will be safe ever again. Sounds like hyperbole, I know, but it isn't. The Bloodline Project will lead to countless deaths. I'm certain enough of this to hire you, despite the fact that you're doing so will probably cost me my own life. I'm not a demolitions expert. Framilla, how do you expect me to level a building? You don't need to. All you need is a competent decker. The facility is powered by a number of on-site generators. There are safeguards in place to prevent them from overloading. In the event of a power spike, the system is designed to shut down, but I know how to disable those safeguards once the generators begin to overload. I'll have limited time to reach a safe distance. The explosion will be quite catastrophic. What can you tell me about building security? Expect it to be tight. In addition to this, standard security team as technology has taken out a knight-errant high threat response team contract to protect the building. Corporate doesn't seem to mind contracting a competitor for emergency response services. That should give you some indication as to the uniqueness of this project. At any rate, I believe I've come up with a solution to the knight-errant problem. I'll discuss the matter with Her Amstel if you decide to take the job. Let's talk about compensation. 36,000 new yen, as I told Her Amstel. That's what I've allocated for this job. That's fair. I've reached a decision, and yes, I'll take the job. Her face visibly brightens. In that case, it's a deal. I can tell you how relieved I am. Thank you for helping me to bring this nightmare to an end. I will iron out the remaining details with Her Amstel. He'll want to talk this over with you anyway, I'm sure. You're a good man. You're saving more lives than you know. So I've got to go speak to Amstel about my decision. We'll do that. And then we'll start the AG Chemical run afterwards, I think. I might spend some money and buy some new gear. Some new spells, because I need to do more damage. Welcome back, Richard. How did the meeting go with Framilla? I accepted the job. Any ideas how to tackle this? Yes, a few. Framilla provided us with detailed information on the facility. I vetted the information and it seems to hold up. Based on the intel I have formulated, what I believe will be an effective strategy to bring down the building. According to Muller's intel, the facility is extraordinarily well guarded. Whatever this Bloodline Project is, the Azis have spared no expense to defend it. The facility is patrolled by Az Technology internal security personnel on their own. They would pose a challenge, but I doubt that you could brute force your way through them. Unfortunately, that will not be your own. They will not be on their own. Az Technology has purchased one of Knight-Errant's most expensive security contracts as an additional line of defence. So kicking the front door in is out then. I should say so. I've pulled some strings with an old contact of mine, and he's provided me with the address of a small software developer, OTK International. They write firmware updates for Knight-Errant's comm systems, and the defences should be considerably weaker than Az Technologies. My contact has informed me that the OTK stores an off-site hard copy of their firmware update it develops for data security purposes. My suggestion is that you hit the offices of the OTK International and reduce their computers to slag. In the interim, I will have a hard copy of their next update replaced with a compromised version. When OTK next updates go live, our compromised version will be pushed out to Knight Errant. When you hit As Technology Facility, you should be able to track Knight Errant via their comlinks. This should make the run much more manageable. He fishes in his pocket for something. A moment later, he produces a corporate ID with your face on it. This will get you through the front door of the offices of the office park that contains OTK International. My contact was only able to provide me with one card, so you'll have to leave the rest of your team at the side door. Alright, sounds like a plan. Very good. OTK's offices aren't far from here. You should take the U-Bahn when you're ready. Right, I think I need to do some karma spending. And also go grab some new spells, I think. How much money have I got? 692. Well, 6,900 and something. I have work to do, that's fine. Let's have a word with him, see what he's got to say. If you're selling, I'm buying, show me your inventory. Have you got anything I can sell? Let's get rid of the cram. I'm tempted to dump away yeah, I don't really need a shotgun because I'm not going to use it. Right, I think jumping Mana Bolt 3 would be a good idea. Mana Bolt 2 would be a good idea. Armor 3 might be a good idea. Aim 3 might be a good idea. Heal wounds might be a good idea. That's 5 grand. Actually, I might dump that. Dump Mana Ball 2 actually. Let's just jump up to level 2 spells for now. Armor 2, aim 2, heal 2, Mana Bolt 2. Yeah. So if we clear everything, get the pistol, get Power Bolt 3. Right, so Mana Bolt 2. Mana Ball. Lightning Bolt. Aim 2. Oh. Armor 2. Heal 2. Confirm. So selling stuff, so it'd probably be a good idea to get rid of these now because I'm not going to need them again. So we get 750 back. I'm tempted to get Mana Ball 2 and Lightning Bolt 2, 3,000. Cells, right. No, so mage. So no, I need to go all first. So I need to take that, and then go into mage spells. So you want Mana Bolt, Mana Ball, Lightning Bolt, Heal, Aim and Armor. and then you want to take probably take 3 healing packs. I'm going to sell some stuff back to him. So I can get rid of that, I can get rid of that, I can get rid of those. I'm going to look and do some... So I've got 27 karma. Probably want to go up to about 50 life. Do I want socialite? I think I want socialite as well. So I've got 3 karma left, which I can't do anything with. I think I'll go with that. So I've now got 50 life, quite a lot of stuff. So now let's do the AG run. Let's do that run. Who shall I take? Who shall I take? Who shall I take? Who shall I take? I think I probably want to go Glory. Probably want to go like that. So I can have a couple of... So I've got a drone and then I've got 2 other... And then I've got spirits as well. Yeah, drone and spirits. That's extra people, isn't it? Hold down the... right, so MK51. Monolithic plastic sterile. Monolithic plastic sterile. Berlin office of the AG Chemie Europe is all of these things and more. The worst qualities of modern corporate culture. All mixed into a toxic stew. And sedite, yeah, into a single prefab office building. Thankfully, you shouldn't have to stay long. According to the intel that your client provided, this should be a simple smash and grab operation, and you've been given the tools to carry it out with a minimum of fuss. The MK51 prototype, whatever it is waiting for you on the 25th floor. It's time to go and get it. So yep. Game has saved. Right, I'm gonna stop the stream for a little bit and have a quick break, get a drink, and then we'll continue with this run in the next 5-10 minutes. Okay, thank you very much.